Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, Craig Cole has jumped on again. For those that don't know Craig has been on my show twice in the last probably 8 months. A whole range of topics have been discussed. Craig's from Team Warrior Spirit and also leaveourkidsalone.org. We touched on the Leave Our Kids Alone June last year. There'll be a link to that podcast down the bottom if you want to learn more about what's going on in our schools. Then Craig and I did a chat from basically a self-development point of view, talking about all the things on how to get better. That chat will be in the show notes too. But today is another very important topic, Craig. I'll let you start this off. So, Craig, welcome back to the platform, mate. Very, very happy to have you here as always. So, let's go.
Thanks, mate. Thank you, Nathan. You're an absolute legend, mate, for what you do. And I'll just straight off the bat, and thanks to everyone for watching. And I'd humbly suggest that you stay with us for the full duration of this podcast. We are going to be talking about some confronting issues, but we cannot ignore the elephant in the room as a community and as a society anymore on this issue. But I will pick you up on one thing about the Team Warrior spirit and on how to get better. It's not about how to get better, mate, because suggesting we need to get better is suggesting that there's something wrong with us. And
That's
as we
true.
both know, there's nothing wrong with us at all.
No.
We just evolve. We evolve as people. And if you're still the same person you were, or anyone watching this a year ago, once again, I'd respectfully suggest and ask you, what are you doing?
Mm.
Why are you still that same person? Why do you still have the same mindsets? Why are you still being triggered by the same things? But we're not here to talk about that, mate. We're here I can't help myself. It's just that natural coach in me and mentor and mindset strategist. But yeah, the child sexual abuse, Nathan, as we know, and a lot of people out there are starting to wake up on how bad it is. But the lengths and depths of depravity of the child sex abuse in this country, per capita of people, and I've run this question before past people, and I've asked this Rachel Vaughan and a few others, SOA survivors, and from my facts and figures and research and looking at other things, and per capita of people, Australia is the worst in the world for the child sex trafficking and pedophilia per
Mm.
capita of people percentage wise. The number of people that I've spoken to that have been sexually abused as children, the number of people that other people that I know who have been campaigning against this issue. I spoke to a lady today, Paula, who does an amazing job on the page with Protect Our Children's Innocence on Facebook. She said to me, Craig, she said, I'm not exaggerating. 8 or 9 out of the 10 people I speak to these days have been sexually abused when they're a child. So we've got a massive problem in this country, and it starts from the top down, as we know, a lot of people are aware of. And if you want to go into the child abuse section on the Leave Our Kids Alone page, one of the tabs is child abuse, and you can read a little bit yourself if you are just starting to become aware of this. And even if you're not starting to become aware of this, I'd suggest that you start to, because what is coming, if you are not at least conditioned to this a little bit, it will be information that is too much for you to fathom. Because, Trump, now, whatever your thoughts on Trump are, I know the word Trump triggers a lot of people these days. But, when he's talked about drain the swamp, when he first come into office, whatever it was, we've got our own dirty, filthy swamp over here. And I promise you, it's just as bad, probably, if not worse. I mean, the last, sorry to keep going on, Nathan, but even in the last month alone, okay, and you've been systematically seeing it now, even in the fake news media or the mainstream media, reported over the last year, there's constant, it's like every second or third day you have a look on social media or news report and you'll see someone that's been arrested or sentenced for child abuse and child sexual offences. Now, in the last month alone, Nathan, just what I've posted on my page, there's been 7 incidents just in the last month alone of child sexual abuse and child sexual abuse and child abuse. And today, and I'll just put on the good old bifocals so I can read, see what I'm doing. Generally helps.
Mm.
Today, Senior Sergeant from McKay, father of three, right? So these people, they fit into society beautifully,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't suspect, I mean, when you're talking about a Senior Sergeant, father of three, in March 2024, obviously there was a tip-off. They searched his house, found child sexual material on his laptop, etc. And he resigned from the force shortly after. Well, he's been sentenced apparently, but it was only 18 months. So, he'll be out in 9, no doubt. But, there was that one. And I'll just read a few of them. There was a teacher from Knox Grammar here in Melbourne, procuring children online for sex via a dating app. There's a Sydney barrister just recently. Now, these are all in the last month. Not the offences have occurred in the last month, but the reporting of these have occurred in the last month. A sex offender that was convicted, who works at City Chicks. That's like a sort of a farm type thing. Excuse me, in Queensland. Well, he's back working there now around children. There was International Grammar School in Sydney, a 63-year-old lecturer, sexual assault of a minor. There was the Perth school teacher, who's now it's come out that she was actually become pregnant to
Yeah.
the young person who she was sexually involved with. There was the youth author, Craig Silvey, who's actually a trans ally and trans activist. He's been done for child sexual material. 7 in the last month alone, and it's good to see that a lot of libraries have taken his books off the shelf,
Mm.
which is great. But that's and then the icing on the cake, Nathan, is the New South Wales police officer that we've seen. I forget ex-sergeant, mind you, no sergeant. Here we go. David Turner, who was an award-winning. Now, the award he got was the Rotary Police Officer of the Year for outstanding contributions to the New South Wales Police Force Radio. And as we know, the Rotary Club is very heavily linked with the Masons, and all these people get these positions to make out that they're doing things for the community when the whole time now they're involved in this depravity. And but the interesting thing was he was involved in an international satanic child abuse. Now that was the words that were used in the mainstream media report. So for the mainstream media to use those words, satanic child abuse, that's a really good sign, and it shows, that maybe there's some people at the top level that are letting this information feed out. Because, mate, a year ago or 2 years ago, Nathan, there's no way, as you know, mate, the mainstream media would even run with that stuff.
No. No way. No.
So, he's now the leader of that was an investigative journalist who was guilty of, or has been found to have child abuse material and bestiality material as well too. So it's the situation is it's like I said, it's a cesspool. Then you throw in the reports last year of the child care worker down here in Victoria, Joshua Brown. Numbers and numbers of children that he'd come into contact with and sexually abused. The high school teacher that had sex with a student had child porn on his Ollis was his surname. I can't remember his first name. Then you had Alan Jones being arrested, obviously. Then there was the Gold Coast cop, Ross Cumanis, sexual abuse of a young boy while he was still a police officer. You had the Lane Warren primary school teacher who had child sex abuse materials, and we could just go on and on and on. This is the situation. So if you're a young person watching this, even someone of an older age watching this for the first time and this information is coming across you, the first reaction that you're going to have is, "Oh no, that can't be right." Well, this has been reported in the mainstream media.
Mm.
You've had people like Rachel Vaughan, myself, other people from around the country speaking up, and it's great to see because I've been speaking about this for 6 years now. Me and a handful of people have been online speaking about this for 6 years because no one's wanted to touch it. Now, what you're finding over the last couple of years, and there's a fella, he's got a platform, Nugget News or something, over the last couple of years has been putting this stuff out. So I actually got on his social media page the other day and tried to reach out to him, but you can't sort of contact him through his social media page. So if anyone out there knows the gentleman from Nuggets News, I can't quite remember his name, but just look, get him to get in contact with me because the more of us people that can combine our resources,
Yeah.
the better off it's going to be moving forward.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
my suggestion to people is, as we've spoken about here before in a previous one, and what you do with your mindset coaching as well and your life coaching as well, Nathan, is people need to start looking at developing some more resilience and stepping into their power because it's going to be us that drives this. Politicians won't touch this.
No.
Now, Pauline Hanson's the flavour of the month at the moment, which is really disappointing because
Yeah.
after 6 years, and I'm going to trigger a lot of people with this, I don't care, because after 6 years, you people still want a saviour and hang your hat on a saviour because it's easier to hang your hat on a saviour and not step into your own power yourself. Well, Pauline's someone that's never touched this either. So any of you One Nation supporters out there that are thinking of becoming a candidate, especially down in Victoria, I've seen a news report just yesterday or even today that Pauline wants to run a candidate in every electorate. Well, that's just scattergun approach of putting substandard candidates just to have a candidate in that electorate. It never works.
No.
You pick a handful of good candidates that are going to, we're off topic here, but it sort of ties in. Pick a handful of candidates who are worthy and are capable, and then you put all your focus into that. This scattergun approach of running a candidate in every electorate is just nonsensical. And here's a little tidbit for you as well too. People that are thinking of joining One Nation, and I'm not poo-pooing it, but do your due diligence and your research, because as we know, Nathan, if you get anything over 4% of the vote, you get reimbursed for every vote that you. I think it's about $3.50 a vote or something. If you get over the 4%, so say for argument's sake, you get 2,000 votes. Well, 2,000 by 3.5, and you get that refunded. Well, if you're a candidate for One Nation, mate, that doesn't go back to you. That goes to One Nation. And, I would highly doubt that they are going to fund you in terms of your election campaign. And if you aren't spending at least minimum $10,000 on your election campaign, you've got no hope. You've got no hope at all. You're pissing into the wind. So those are the questions that people need to be asking of One Nation. Also asking, how much pressure is Pauline going to put on? Because this is something that we've got to do as well too. And I was going to mention this towards the end because we always identify the problem, then provide the solution. And one of the solutions going forward is we, the people, need to start demanding from our politicians in the form of fiduciary duty letter notices for starters, reminding these politicians that we are the beneficiaries and they are there to serve us. And if so, ask them in that fiduciary duty. I'm getting that written up, mate, so that'll be put in the template. But one of the things will be to ask them to get them to state formally that they acknowledge that they serve us. And if they can't do that, well, then we ask them, who are they serving then? Who's their masters? Okay, because we are the beneficiaries and they have a fiduciary duty. So it is their fiduciary duty, because we are the beneficiaries and we tell them how it works. We tell them what to do. They're our elected representative. So we as a community are demanding that all names that are suppressed, things, anything relates to any child abuse, any suppression orders around any form of child abuse are lifted. The Mulligan report, the names from the Wood Royal Commission, I could go on. Okay, there's many reports that this information's been suppressed, and we as a community are going to say, we're not going to say, we are saying enough is enough. You know, I did a live the other day, Nathan, and geez, I can go on, can't I, mate? So feel free to cut me off anytime.
Yeah, all right, mate.
I did a live the other day. And when are we as a community going to say enough's enough? Now, I've got a walk for the children coming up on the February the 22nd. I'll be hitting every state in this: Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth. I know there's Hobart and Darwin. We'll see if we can try and get around to doing those guys as well. But that'll be done in the next few months. The Adelaide date will be locked in today, hopefully, and the Sydney date over the next couple of days as well too. But it is a walk for the children. And the Melbourne leg of that, it'll be at Princes Park. That's Princes Park Royal Parade in Carlton on Sunday, February the 22nd at 11 a.m. The details of this you can find in the events tab on the Leave Our Kids Alone page. And it's a walk around Princes Park. It's a 2K walk. We walk around Princes Park. We have the starting point where the staging will be, and the speeches will be after we've done the walk. And then we'll deliver some speeches, raise some awareness. Obviously, we'll be mindful that there will be children there, because we are encouraging parents to bring their families. You know, if we get thousands of people there marching around, what a great message that sends, that the community are starting to rise, and you politicians that have condoned this and been complicit in this. And what I mean by that is they've said nothing, so silence is consent, and they've complied. They're being complicit and they've condoned this because they know this situation's there. You know, Malcolm, One Nation, you want to talk about One Nation? Malcolm Roberts up in the Canberra protest, he got off the back of the truck. I said, Malcolm, I said, you know, the pedophile suppression order, the names that Bill Heffernan spoke about, he denied knowing anything about it. Denied knowing anything about it. You know, this is One Nation for you, okay? They won't touch the child sex stuff anyway. You've got all these people wanting to hang their hat on One Nation. Like, do your due diligence, because they haven't touched it either. So it'll be a fair question to ask Pauline and see what the response is, Nathan, wouldn't you reckon?
Yep, 100%. Be a good
Yeah.
question to ask a lot of people, actually.
Well, exactly. So, you know, there's been bugger all politicians, as I've been starting for the last 6 years. There have been bugger all politicians, and a couple of others have been stating this. But there's no politician will touch this, and when you do raise it with them, they either act dumb, which they're pretty good at doing, or they just totally deny it. And they say there is no suppression order. Ralph Babbitt's another one. Said there is no suppression order. Okay, Ralph, no worries, mate. So, you know, all these people expose themselves. There is information suppressed. What do you think? Bill just got up there at the Senate Estimates Committee hearing in 2016 and decided to make some stuff up for the day, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, you know, it beggars belief the lack of courage that our so-called leaders in this country have on this. They're cowards. So Pauline, not that she'll be ever watching this because she's too interested in her own self-indulgence and everything else. Everything's all about Pauline. And if you want to debate me on it, no problems. But in this podcast wasn't to whack Pauline, but, you know, questions have got to be asked.
Yeah.
Questions have to be asked, mate. I mean, gee whiz, mate, we have a systematic. Before I start that, I'll just get back to the walk. So, if you're in Melbourne and watching this, please, on the 22nd of February, come along, because we need to stop the child abuse in the state care system, the care system, and I'll get onto that in a minute, mate, just remind me of that, is disgusting. It is rife. The abuse, child sexual abuse in DHS, disgusting. What they condone and the way they rip children out of families, traumatising the children, it's just disgusting. Those workers should be ashamed of themselves. Fair question to ask if they're pedophiles or child abusers themselves. It'd be a fair question because they seem to take delight in doing it. The child sexual abuse in the family court system as well. The child sexual abuse in the school system via the highly sexually inappropriate content that children are being taught and the radical gender theory that, according to many top psychologists from around the country, Andrew Amos is one. He's with the great organisations doing some great work. The Australian Federation of Doctors, or the Australian Doctors Federation. Now, they're doing some great work, mate. They are currently campaigning to have the gender reassignment surgery is banned for children, and the puberty blockers, etc. So just a call out to any clinicians out there. They've got over 100 signatures so far, 100 doctors signed up. So if there's any GPs, ex-GPs, ex-clinicians, social workers, nurses, anyone that works with children, or any like I said, any GPs, child psychologists, hit their website up and speak to Dr. Louise Kirby. Her and a couple of other people will vet the people. So all these people that are on that registry have all been vetted, which is great. So lend your support to that. So they're doing some great work. But you've got child psychologists from around the country saying that teaching radical gender theory to children is harmful. So, it's child abuse. So they're the things. Now, the only way this is going to stop is if we as a society stand up and push back and don't leave it to a politician to get it done. Like, gee whiz, you're putting your child's future, your grandchildren's future, your potential grandchildren, your potential children. What about the abuse that's happened to the thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of children from around the country that are adults now? What about them? Don't they matter? Or is you watching the football and making sure you get your multi right for the Saturday races at Caulfield, is that more important? Like, seriously. Like, where are we as a society if we as adults cannot stand up and send a message to protect our children? Where are we? Where are we? It's a fair question to ask, Nathan.
I agree.
So I don't know, mate. Did you, before I rip into some more confronting facts, did you have any questions or issues you'd like to raise?
No, not anything as such, but I just want to reiterate what you've shared before, mate. We've always had the power. No, there's more of us than there is them, but we've always been conditioned and told that we don't have any.
Yep.
From the various forms of media and brainwashing, all the things. But the thing is, though, the more people that rally together and band together, but they want us divided and separated. It doesn't even matter if it's about this issue. It could be about vegan or non-vegan or fucking carnivore or fucking, there's so many things we're all fighting about that if, as I said to someone only the other day, just quickly, Craig, they tried to chop down the Moffat Beach pine trees here about 12 months ago. But people started a petition and they had 30,000 signatures from everyone on the coast not wanting to chop the trees down. So what did the council do? They didn't chop them down. So this is what I'm saying. And I said to this guy in the ocean only not long after, I said, mate, imagine if we had all stood up and said no 6 years ago. He said, you know what? This guy knew nothing about anything. He's like, yeah, you're right. I said, that's the power of the people. But can you imagine if we all stood up to issues like this and many others that are all, it all ties back to this anyway, if you look into it, just connect some dots, that if we all stood up and just said no, they can't control us anymore.
No, they can't, because we have the power. But it's not just about saying, it's not just about, you're correct. It's not just about saying no, but Nathan, it's about saying get out.
Get out.
You're not doing your job. Get out.
And we can rebuild something better.
Absolutely. Now, another example out of people power is that dirty 5G tower they wanted to put up in Byron Bay.
Yeah,
All the
true.
uh, all
Good
the
one.
residents now Zed Friedman helped with that and led the charge on that in terms of the legal proceedings. Mate, it stopped straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
People power. Now, as I said, I'm going to tug on a few heartstrings here. Our diggers. What did our diggers and people that have served in the military? What's one of the things that they, all about protecting the country? What's a big element in protecting the country? Our children. The fact that we've allowed this to happen because we've all been asleep at the wheel, or we haven't had the balls to say anything or do anything or push back hard because we're scared. Now I know the goat fondling freaks that wear aprons. That'd be the Freemasons, Nathan. Just in case anyone was wondering, that's your high level Freemasons, not Uncle Joe that goes and sells the cakes down at the market stall for the Masons on Saturday. I'm not talking about that, but Uncle Joe still took that silly little oath that sold his soul, didn't he? So ask Uncle Joe about that. Um, they will intimidate, they will, harass, they will, do everything else. But enough's enough. There's more of us than there is of them.
Hmm.
There's more of us than there is of them. So it's, and if I know I sound like a broken record, but it just beggars belief for me that I sit here every day looking at this stuff. The different sorts of child abuse that goes on, coming up and reading content, strategizing, writing up content to put on the website, and stay tuned for the. Keep your eye out for the events. Sorry, not the events. We'll keep your eye out for the events tab on the Leave Our Kids Alone page for the dates and the locations for the rallies: Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. But in the child abuse section, in the next week, there'll be a whole bunch more information put up on there in the child abuse section as well. You cannot, these, this is how deep it runs, okay? So, did you read a disclaimer before this?
No, I did not, but I can.
These are just my no, this is not my thoughts and beliefs. This is actual did
Just
happen.
the only disclaimer here would be do your own research. It's not hard to find this stuff.
Yeah, no, well, it is hard to find this stuff because now there was an article. So the Dandenong, the group of resi units in Dandenong, and if you're not familiar with what a resi unit is, residential care where children are, not living at home anymore, or they go to these places for a bit of respite from their parents, or
Carers, yeah.
kids that have been, kids that have been taken out of their homes and put into state care. Okay, this is the abuse, and this is just a snippet of the abuse that happens in state care. So Dandenong Resi units, okay, there was a group of them, and there was the SBS reported on this in 2014. There was an article in SBS News in 2014 about a group of resi units that were the target of a child abuse gang, a rape gang down in Dandenong area. And the article stated that the police were doing an investigation. Nothing ever went further because the investigation was told to stop. Now, the police officers from the socket team, the sexual abuse teams here in Victoria, those frontline guys do a good job, okay? But when they take those kids out of those harmful situations of, parents or sex trafficking rings or whatever, put them into state care, they're taking them straight out of the frying pan, putting them back into the fire. Plus, a lot of instances, cases are asked to be handed over, and we'll take care of this, and this is in our hands now, the higher ranking police in the force, and nothing's ever done about it because half of their mates are involved. Now, the Dandenong Resi units, when they used to get young boys in there, they used to have plants, okay? Yes, they had the Resi unit managers in there that were plants, all paid off by these gangs. They would drug the girls, any teenage girls, drive them to secluded location where groups of men would sexually abuse them, rape them, and then they would be driven back, drugged out of their eyeballs to the resi unit. And that was happening on a regular basis. That's just one example. Here's one for you as well too. And this was from an ex-police officer who early days, about 5-6 years ago, informed me of this. And he was actually given death threats at the time. There's a group of police stations in the southeast of Melbourne, about 4 or 5 stations, where there was a young 15-year-old girl, one in particular, who was taken from station to station, late at night when to service the sergeants. Sick, depraved stuff. Now, people say, "Oh, the police wouldn't do that." Well, I've just given you 2 examples here of police being charged. One in New South Wales, a sergeant who was as I said before, involved in a child satanic ritual abuse ring, an international trafficking ring. And then you had the sergeant reported today from Mackay up in Queensland. So you better start getting your heads around this with all due respect. Now, I said from day one from this clown show that the thing that will get people over the line and en masse start to stand up is the kids issue. It was always going to. Now, people out there in the community have had enough, okay? Even your rank and file people out there, we would consider normies. I don't like using that expression, but for the point of the conversation, they've even had enough as well too. Now, stuff starts to give it exposed more and more awareness. That'll be the icing on the cake for people. It has to, because like I said, this country needs to start take their testicles out of the jar that they put on the shelf and put their testicles back on and start standing up for our children. Because if we cannot, as a country, stand up for our children, you all should be, excuse my language, no, I won't swear, but you should be ashamed of yourself. Just absolutely disgustingly ashamed of yourself. And I don't know how you can look at yourself in the mirror if you're not going to start standing up. Oh, what can I do, Craig? Okay, start raising some awareness. Start having conversations. There's a couple of articles you can share on the Our Kids Alone page. In the child abuse section, I would implore you to start having a look at someone like Rachel Vaughan, who's been putting this information out for quite some time. Start listening to other people who are, excuse me, who are putting information out like this. Start raising your awareness so you can have conversations. Start sharing that information around. Then, when we're ready to go, start attending rallies like I will be holding, okay? Because number one, you're going to be mixing with people that have more knowledge and networking there and finding out what you can do. Then en masse, we're going to start re-asking questions of politicians, sending every person in your electorate, every elector out there needs to be sending a fiduciary duty notice to their elected representative, reminding them of their fiduciary duty, and we are the beneficiary. You are there to serve us. You are a public servant, elected representative. So that's another one of the pronged attacks we'll be taking. But just keep chipping away, But the first thing is, now many people are at that fiduciary duty notice level. That's cool. Or at least start writing an email to your MP to ask them their thoughts and demand. Don't request anything from an MP. We run the show, not them. Let's keep this straight. And that's part of the education we need to start giving people going forward as well too. We run the show. The power's in the people. So start stepping up and start claiming that power as your true sovereign being. Not sovereign citizen, you hyperventilators, if you're watching, okay? There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. It's an oxymoron. You morons, okay? So you can't be a sovereign citizen, just to clear that up. But we are free sovereign beings to follow the basic common law principles of no harm, loss, or damage. Well, there's been a lot of harm, a lot of loss, and a lot of damage over the decades of our children. Now, when you want to talk about, gee, how far do you want to go back with the sex trafficking, Nathan? I mean, this whole colony was set up by the sex traffickers. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's a bit of a stretch, Craig. No, do your history properly. Read your proper history, okay? So these convicts that were supposed convicts, all right, okay, that come over, there were children on the boat. Why? It defies logic that you would rip a child from a established nation, which the UK was at that time, to put them on a boat to venture over to an unexplored, unknown land in the middle of nowhere at that time. Why would you have 10-year-old children, 8-year-old children, 11-year-old children on that boat, Nathan? Why? Makes no sense, does it?
No, no.
Child sex trafficking, okay? Back then, okay, because these sick freaks, even back then, the first settlers needed their sick little fix. It goes right back to the inception of this country, mate. Right back to it.
Probably goes back
You
further
know,
than
when
that anyway.
pardon?
Probably goes back further than that too, but
Oh, mate, hundred
that's another
percent goes back
conversation
to it.
another time.
Yeah, well, how long you got? I'm also led to believe, how do they ship these big numbers of children around the world without them being noticed? Because we've seen the stories and we've seen reports of them in the shipping containers, but they can't do it all via shipping containers. So how do they do it? They can't do it via the airways because they can only bring one or two at a time on an international flight. So how are they doing it? Well, I'll tell you how they do it, mate. The cruise ships. I'm led to believe P&O cruises, all right, at the bottom of their ship, okay, full of children. I mean, not every cruise, but the ones that dock into Sydney. Okay. We've seen the Toll Group, international global company, Toll Transport. Yeah, they've been in the news lately for being paid millions of dollars to transport refugees over. Yeah. Well, I'm led to believe that Toll Transport Group also got their necks up to in the child sex trafficking as well too. It's another way they get the kids over here as well. Now there'll be people watching this work for Toll. I have a dad work for Toll, or my brother works for Toll, or I used to work for Toll, and I would know. No, sorry, that's your ego, because you only work in the office. You might have a low-level management position, but you don't know what goes on up the top, with all due respect. And for anyone to say they know exactly what happens in their workplace, that's your ego speaking, because no, you don't.
No, you have to be higher up to know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's another one. A strawberry farm up in New South Wales on the border of Queensland. On face value, it's just a strawberry farm. It's a front for child sex trafficking, and that's got connections to the Italian mafia. And it goes so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely so deep, mate. Now, people might say, aren't you worried, Craig? Bring it on. I'm not fearful of anything, especially these child abusing bozos. Bring it on. Come to my front door and form a conga line. I'll deal with you one-on-one. No drama. Because this is the resilience, and this is the attitudes we've got to have now. Children are being raped, trafficked, and murdered while you're sitting on your lounge room having a beer, watching the football, more worried about who your team's going to take as their number one pick in the draft, rather than, well, it's true, mate.
I'm laughing because it is true.
You know, more worried about the odds of the favourite at Flemington on the Melbourne Cup,
Mm.
rather than, while you're doing that, there's children that are being satanically abused, raped, trafficked, and murdered. All under your feet, all under your nose. And you're okay with it, are you? Oh, you're too busy. Oh, I've got this on, I've got that on. I'm sorry. There's no more excuses anymore when it comes to protecting our children. And as I keep saying, if we can't protect our children, wrap it up as a society. You got Bill Heffernan spoke about Costello's boy brothel. There's a boy
Mm.
brothel in King's Cross. Now, I'm not sure whether it's open anymore. If it's not, they just would have shifted somewhere else. But male escorts, there's been two whistleblowers in the last few years about male escorts being brought into Parliament. Okay, now those male escorts, what the news report didn't state was those male escorts, they're teenage boys, and they're taken into Parliament. And these are staffers, these are parliamentary staffers that go and get them and escort them back in there. Now, you can't tell me these bozo politicians that work in there that aren't involved in it, don't tell me they don't know what's going on. Don't tell me they haven't asked questions and been told to shut up. Well, why aren't you speaking out? Are you scared? Are you scared? We have a nation of leaders that are gibbering cowards, Nathan, and they're quite happy for children to be abused and used as sex slaves for these sick freaks entertainment, and they're happy to say nothing so they can keep their cushy job and keep their cushy pension. And this is the morals of the leaders of our country, mate. And people want to not stand up for them. You know, and
And
gee,
they're
the
not
amount of
leaders. They're not leaders anyway.
sorry.
I call them misleaders, man.
Well, mate, you wouldn't put them in charge of the local bingo chook raffle, really, would you?
No,
Like
no,
seriously, you
no.
wouldn't trust them with that.
And
Uh,
pardon the pun to crack a joke about what we're talking about, but like they couldn't even organise a route and a brothel, these blokes.
They couldn't leave pigs to be dirty, mate.
No. But
Yeah,
this is where we're at as a society, though. You know, the more we have to at least the bare minimum is we put so much trust in these systems that we need to just like ask more questions and go, well, am I doing the right thing here? In any of these situations, for any random Joe Blow here, you need to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing by sending my child to these places?
that's right. And the beauty of that, though, Nathan, is we're here in Victoria, and I know by talking to other people that in other states, a lot more people are homeschooling their children now, which is fantastic.
A
Okay,
lot
but
up here too.
a lot of people don't have that capability at the moment, especially single parents, especially the single mums, because they've got to go to school or a
But
single
that's
dad.
the system though, right?
Correct, correct. Then you talk about the family court system. The family court system and some of those judges, seriously, mate. I had a conversation the other day. I don't care if I'm the last person standing on this issue. I don't care. And they can throw everything they can at me and everything they want at me. I don't care. They can unlawfully lock me up, stick me in a cell, come in as they normally do with their goons and beat you up with their batons and completely deny it. Bring it on. I don't care because when you do come to arrest me, I'm telling you this now, a few of you are going to get broken jaws. So who's it going to be? Yeah, sure, you'll take me away and give me a hiding and put me in a cell and give me another beating and all the rest of it. Big deal. You're not going to hurt me, okay? But I promise you, a few of your officers are going to be eating soup for the next 6 months and walking around on crutches. So who's it going to be, boys? Because that's where I'm at the moment, Nathan. Now, we talk about, well, we've got to be lifting our vibrations and all the rest of it and moving into a new world, and that's all fine and dandy. But there's still a fight to be fought here in this existence, on this plane, on this platform. It's about having a foot in both worlds, and we cannot leave our kids behind.
Yeah.
If you think I sound like a bit of a hero saying that, no, this is 6 years of frustration, mate, even more. I've known about this stuff for a lot longer. It's just been brought to light a lot more and validated more in the last 6 months. So, no, it's not me sitting here acting like a hero. It's me sitting here saying, I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough of these bastards that perpetrate it. I've had enough of these bastards that are in positions that see the perpetrators and say nothing. And I've seriously had enough of the piss weak mentalities of people in this country who get more upset because their neighbour's thrown some garbage in their bin out the front.
That's true.
They'll have a panic attack and a hissy fit about that, but they
Hmm.
sit there and say nothing about the child sex abuse and all the rest of it. We have got our moral compass in this country is so out of whack, it's disgusting.
It's the biggest secret that they hold from us. It is the biggest secret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mate. And it'll all start.
And it's very confronting and very raw information. I learned about this stuff a bit before 2020 as well, just through our local, our friend Dale, and it's not it's a very confronting place to go down. But the more you learn about what's really going on, not just in Australia but in the whole world, your whole belief systems of what this place really is will crumble
Yeah.
because the people that you've held and pedestaled and poo-pooed and all the things that you've given to these people, they've taken it all away once you learn what they're really up to.
And then moving forward, Nathan, the challenge is going to be that people will completely lose any faith or trust in anyone of a position of authority. So how are you going to instill that? So who's going to lead? Because everything they do will be questioned, which is a good thing.
Mm,
Absolutely, we should have the ability to put a finger in the chest of any elected representative and say, "What the hell are you doing?" And you wouldn't want to. These people putting their hands up to join these parties and be a politician going forward, just a bit of a point of reference for you. You better be prepared to be able to handle the constant scrutiny that you are going to be put under, because that's the scrutiny going forward that our politicians will be put under from now on. So if you aren't able to handle that scrutiny and all the flack and all the name calling and all the abuse and all the rest of it that goes with it, don't put your hand up.
mm,
Okay, get involved another way. All right,
mm.
because that's part and parcel of it. I want to get in
And
there and make a difference. Yeah, good
mm,
on you. Your intentions are fantastic. Okay, but know what you're getting in for. All right.
it's a big
Sort of kind
club
of like,
too.
sorry.
It's a big club and we ain't in it.
Well, their little club's about to be blown over like the house of sticks.
Mm,
The three little pigs. We're going to blow their house down. Well, their sick little house of cards is going to come fumbling to the ground. And people watching this might say, oh, my methods too in your face or too aggressive. There's children being raped, trafficked, and murdered. I'm not sitting here at a place of ego at all. And because you've got to come out from a place of love. Yeah, I am coming out from a place of love. The love of protecting our children.
passionate love,
That's
Craig.
that's the way it is.
Mm.
Oh, for the old times, Nathan. If we could just walk into Parliament and take care of these bozos one by one, this would be over in a month.
I agree.
Unfortunately, we haven't got that luxury.
But
And
if we had fucking 6 million or how many million is in this country all on the same team, and you can walk up to Parliament, they'd fucking run away anyway because there's millions of us and only very few of them.
well, just Cinderella ran out the back door of the Alexandra Hospital when there was 10 people out the front.
Yeah.
So imagine 10 million out
Mm.
the front of Parliament.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with cowards. And what disappoints me the most, these Australian federal police that protect these arseholes, you're an embarrassment. Oh, I'm just doing my job. Oh,
Order
I'm just doing
followers.
my job. That chestnut. No,
Mm.
you're not. You're protecting pedophiles.
Mm.
You're being complicit in child sex trafficking. You're not doing your job at all. So you're an embarrassment. And it's about time you started looking inward at yourselves, but also start having a talk and not being a talk to the decent officers in there and not being scared of your Masonic overlords, which is your brass and your senior sergeants, your inspectors, the goat fondlers, the bib wearers from the little Masonic club, because their house of cards is going to start coming down as well too.
Mm.
It's call them out for the embarrassing grubs that they are. No, I really hope one of the Masonic lodges sees this, because bring it on, boys. You're a bunch of pussies. Bring it on. Seriously, you are. You're secret society. You're embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And you're sick freaks. You rape children. You abuse children. And people like me and other people around the country are going to make sure that everybody knows who's responsible for it. And it's you.
Mm.
So, but back to what can the average person your age sitting here will start reading start getting on to people like Rachel Vaughan, Dale Holmes, Glenn Fisher as well too. He does some really good work, and some other people from around the country. Look at the Leave Our Kids Alone site, and start having conversations. Okay, we cannot take, oh, I don't want to talk about that stuff. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to. What if it was your child? You'd want to talk about it then. That's another problem with this country as well too, Nathan. I'm all right, Jack. Oh, yeah, it's not my child.
That's true.
How disgusting.
Mm.
How disgusting. You get up there and laud our diggers 2 times a year, Anzac Day and Remembrance Day. Imagine if they had that mentality. Oh, it doesn't bother me. I'm not going. Imagine if they had that mentality. Oh, it's all right for someone else, is it? Just not you. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, wow. Wow. Oh, I don't know. I've probably made a few more enemies out of this one, Nate, but I don't care. So I've triggered people for 6 years. I don't do it intentionally, but I say the things that most people won't. There's another one that cops it, Jody Lowe. He just says things straight out as well too. Ruffles a lot of feathers. But things need to be said. This is, we are at the gates of hell. This is crunch time for humanity. So if you're not going to stand up now, there'll be a lot of spiritual people watching this saying, oh, we've already run. Yeah, energetically we might have. Really? I don't know.
I don't know either.
How can you be assured of that? Is that, ask yourself and sit with yourself, is that what you're saying out of hope, or is it a certainly? Now, I feel the energetic shift, absolutely, but there's still a war to be fought down here, and you need to get involved. And once again, at the risk of repeating myself, I generally do.
It's all right, but you're right though. You can't just ascend to the 9D and 10D and think it's all love and light. I spoke about that today. We gotta actually sit here in the 3D reality of what we're currently in and understand that part of that ascension is learning this information and doing something about it. And then learning your own information and doing something about you as well. That's just a whole nother fucking podcast, which we've already covered. But you've got to go outward and inward. You can't have it one way or the other. And if you keep turning a blind eye, well, you can't keep turning a blind eye anymore because given what we spoke about on the phone yesterday, mate, with this information and the way it's coming out right now, this time next year we could be learning about the things we just spoke about today on a fucking mass scale, worldwide
Mate,
fucking thing, and it's
yeah,
already happening.
yeah. The way, my read on it, Nathan, and as I said to you on the phone yesterday, the way this is, the speed this is generating at. I mean, like I said, when you get in the last month alone, in January alone, there's been 7 reports that I've just published. Now, I'm sure I've missed a couple, but 7 reports that I've just shared on my social media of people in prominent positions being arrested for child sexual abuse. That's just 7 in the last month. And that doesn't even scratch the surface. So here's one to probably finish up on, mate.
Let's go for
I'll
it.
ask the audience this. If you're at a park on a weekend with your children and they're off playing on the swings, and a pedophile come over and started, talking to them inappropriately and touching them inappropriately, you and the people around you would be over in 5 seconds flat and absolutely throttle that grub
Yes.
and give them what for, wouldn't you? Anyone would, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So because you see that, yeah, it's in front of you. So why are we turning it? This is happening in Parliament. This is happening perpetrated by company CEOs. This is happening in all walks of life. And because you can't see it, you're going to remain ignorant to it. Really. Really. No more, Australia. No more. Gee whiz, Nate. Sorry, I did say I was going to leave you alone. I just can't help myself. Now this isn't the child. This isn't the child sex trafficking stuff. Okay, this is not child sex trafficking. This is more along the child abuse. I worked at a school, and I'm sure many people that have worked as you know, I've done youth work. One of the schools I situated at, there was a young 15-year-old girl. She was that traumatized, the poor young thing, because from the age of 10, she'd been prostituted out by both her parents to the parents' friends to support their ice habit.
Fuck. Mhm.
That happens regularly in the community.
Yeah, it does. Even
The
up here
dad,
too. Yeah.
the dad went to jail, and the mum didn't go to jail because, in the judge's words, there was no one else to look after the child. Well, there's plenty of foster people that would gladly. Now, the foster system's gone to shit these days.
Yeah, it has.
Now, this was,
It's on
when
another
was
podcast
this?
too.
Yeah, yeah. So now that's got nothing to do, but that is just, it is rife in the community. As I said earlier on, when I spoke to one of the ladies I speak to, she said to me, Craig, without a word of a lie, 8 out of the 10 people I speak to these days have had some form of child sexual abuse when they were younger. So, is this the point of time as a community? Is this the point of time as a country that we draw the line in the sand and say no more? Is it? Because I think it needs to be. It's just something for people to ponder. So, okay, once again, what can you do? All right, you don't know what to do, start reading and start doing some research. Gain some more knowledge. I know it's confronting, but gee whiz, how confronting is it for a child to be raped, trafficked, and murdered? And you can't read something because it's too confronting?
Mm,
Wow.
mm,
Wow. We.
mm. Here,
Sorry,
here.
Nate. There you go. I would
No,
have triggered a few people. There's a few more people that have crossed me off their favourite Christmas list now after this one, but I don't care, mate. This is where we're at, mate.
no, it is. And then, and for anyone out there listening and watching, just take that first step and go and look at the information there and don't turn a blind eye to what's going on because, as I was going to say before, no community is immune from this stuff. You might think your community's all love and sweet, but I think you'll find every community is not immune from this stuff. It's pretty rife and it's a big, big club and it's a big, big network. And this is only the surface of what's a very, very big, long fucking iceberg.
Yeah, absolutely. But the exciting thing is, well said, Nate, but the exciting thing is a lot more exposure is starting to take place and a lot more exposure will start to take place.
Yep, and it's a lot
So,
deeper than your, a lot of mainstream things have come out. It's a lot deeper than your Epstein. It's a lot deeper than Harvey Weinstein and all the things that have already come out. They're just fall guys for a very, 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 very long puppet string, and the puppeteers of that. Wait till you find that out.
if yeah, a good starting point for a lot of people would be the Outer Shadows documentary as well too,
Yeah, I've
Nathan.
watched that.
So
Yeah,
any BitChute, YouTube, Rumble, you can just type in Outer Shadows and that full documentary will come up.
and if you want a mainstream documentary, go and watch the Jeffrey Epstein one I watched about 7 years ago.
Yeah,
That's on Netflix.
is that right?
Yeah, go watch that.
Geez, that's surprising.
Yeah,
Gee whiz. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So, like I said, mate, the first one on 22nd of Feb, Walk for the
Yep.
Children. Now,
Yep.
I hopefully I've stirred some things up in a few people. The next one will be Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, and then we'll do Brisbane last, mate. We'll save the best for last,
Yeah, I'll be there at Brisbane.
mate. Absolutely. So we'll get all your community up there, all the lovely people up around the sunny coast to come down, and we are going to. And by the time we get to Brisbane, Nate, there'll be a lot more things up. We should get, once again, we should get thousands there. It's a Sunday at 11 a.m. in Melbourne here. It's a family day. You can't sacrifice one day. Bring your kids along. We'll have some face painters there. We'll have some other stuff there to entertain the kids with. I give you a personal guarantee that the information spoken about won't be graphic and won't be very confronting because mindful that the children are there, but enough to be able to get the point across, but most importantly, what people can do.
100%. And thanks, Craig, again for your time for my audience and for my show. You've been really, really awesome on here, mate. And this, I'll get you back on again, obviously, and we'll probably have a chat in the very near future before Brisbane. But where can
Oh,
people find you just in case they've skipped through the whole thing and they just want to find you? Which they might have
to
done. They might have done just to listen to the end.
probably have. Yeah, well, people's attention span these days is Yeah.
Yeah, where can they
They
find
can
you?
find me on leaveourkidsalone.org, kids
Yep,
with a Z. So leave our kids alone, all one word. Kids is spelled with a Z.org. Or they can go to the teamwarriorspirit.com page as well.
beauty.
Both of those pages, you can hit me up. There's an email address you can send me to Leave Our Kids Alone, and there's the contact page as well too.
Yep.
I will be so you want that individual mindset coaching and strategy. Come and see me. I'm not trying to take any work off you, Nate. Uh, and we do have just as a side note, guys, as well. Myself and Nathan have been in the pipeline for quite some time, wanting to get a day retreat or weekend retreat seminar up and running.
Absolutely.
There'll be some seminars coming up. Also, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be announcing to do a weekly webinar. Okay, a weekly Team Warrior Spirit webinar, because what's coming, guys, you are going to need to be at your optimal efficiency. Now, whether that's only 80% or 70% doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But we need to be standing up into our power, because
Yep.
going forward, once we've achieved the goal we want to achieve, is all these corrupt politicians out and people put in place that govern for the people, by the people. Well, how do you think that looks? All right, we're going to need a lot of people to get their hands dirty. We're going to need a lot of people to do the work with our children going forward. We're going to need a lot of people to unindoctrinate two generations of children that they've absolutely brainwashed in the state care system. There's a lot of work going for, and mate, what I've mentioned won't even scratch the surface.
No.
So moving forward, people really are going to be needing to be standing in their true power and developing as much emotional resilience as humanly possible. Well, how do you do that, Craig? Well, come and have a chat to me, and I can give you a few pointers as well, and supply with a few tools like you can, Nathan, as well.
100%. That right there. And what I'll leave that with is, Craig, only the strong will survive. So no one,
Yeah,
you gotta build your strength physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
absolutely. Thanks very much, mate. You're a
No
bloody
worries, mate.
yeah.
Anytime. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for everyone listening and watching. Hope this wasn't too confronting. Everything shared here today is information that's already been put out there. None of this stuff is new
yeah,
information as well. This is all information you can easily find. It's all in your mainstream media. And if you want to, if you, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, that's right. Go away, do your own research, do your own homework, look at the articles that have already been written, and then source people out like Craig, like Dale, Rachel Vaughan, all the others that have been mentioned today.
yeah.
But make sure you keep an open heart and an open mind to what was discussed today. That's very, very important as well.
Yeah, please,
All
please
right,
keep an
everyone out there, thank you for listening, watching, wherever in the world you are. Your community is not immune. Do the best you can with what you have, and that is going to be okay for now, but you need to start sharpening up in all areas of life, and we'll chat soon. Cheers.